Everyone, what is up? Welcome to this episode of how to build threads from scratch. In this episode, we're going to actually create a thread. So in the last episode, we created the schema for a post. We created this page where it says what's new, but everything here is just static. So I was just pulling in the username, the avatar. This what's new isn't actually clickable, so we want to replace that with a text input. And then once we create a post here, we'll be able to list them on that home page. So let's get started. So I created a screenshot of what we want it to look like. So this is what Threads looks like with the cancel button, this little header on top, so it's clear what this page is. We have this little line. This is actually an input. We have the X to kind of remove, start from scratch if we have any information in there that we want to clear out. We have the add to thread, which we're going to do, and then we have this anyone can reply in quote with a post. So first, we already have this post button, so let's clean that up a little bit. First, we're going to put this in a HStack. And let's style this a little bit. Primary, rounded, full. I don't even think we need primary, actually. Yeah, that's the default. Okay, so now we have this post button looking a little nicer, and then we want to put this whole thing in a VStack. So you can put the two HStacks in a VStack. What's going on with this spacing? And then what we want to do is have this go to the bottom. So we're going to do class name, not flex1, but h full, justify between. There we go. Okay, so, and then the next thing we're probably going to do, so remember on the auth layout, we have this keyboard avoiding view. We're probably going to want the same thing because this button is going to get covered once we put the text input, but maybe we could come back to that one. Essentially, we're going to do the same exact thing. We're going to do platform, VStack. Actually, you know what? Now we're talking about, let's just do it. And then let's make sure to import it. And let's put it up here, clean it up a little bit. Okay. All this spacing is kind of janky, but it should all work for now. And to test this, we need to turn this into a text input. So let's go to GlueStack. We have this input, same exact thing everywhere else, input, and then we have an input field in there. So let's just copy and paste that. We're not going to use all of the fields, but we can just copy and paste it for now. Let's import it from GlueStack. Remember, GlueStack and not React Native. It's not read-only. It's not disabled. And we won't do is valid just yet. Okay, variant. I don't know if there's a variant without the border, so we might have to override with class name border -0. That worked. Okay. And then size MD input field placeholder. What was the placeholder? We wanted to do what's new. So that'll be the placeholder. And then we touch this. We could show the keyboard. So we're still, it's moving, but not quite enough, this bottom part down here. So we could add more spacing. Let's see if that fixes it. Oh yeah, okay. So we could do this vertical offset. maybe 75. So that's to account for some of the spacing. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Okay. And then there's like a little space here. I think that's just the default input margin. If I put pad 0. We'll have to come back to that one. There's the since we don't have a border, you can see like there's a little space here, but without the border it doesn't really look right. So we might have to come back to that. So also, that's probably the input field. Class name margin -0. Okay, if this next one doesn't work, then we'll come back to this later. Oh, there we go. Okay, so it's padding. So we'll do padding x0. Sweet. That was actually simpler than I thought. Okay, so next thing, we want to create a custom header with a cancel button, which is probably just router.goback or router.back, and then a title. So let's put that justify between. Let's just create a new HStack. They got pretty close. Text. What was it? New thread. View. So for this one, we're just putting a view so that it's justified between. Yeah, so if we were to just do justify between without this empty view, the thread would be in a place where we don't want it. So to keep it the spacing consistent between each side, we want to put an empty view with a width of 10. And we actually want to put a width on this button as well. And so that's why this will be centered. And then we want like a little line below this to differentiate between the two. And then also our spacing got a little borked doing this little header spot. So if we put it, touchable opacity feedback has to have a child item. No worries, we could just put it in another VStack. So we're going to be using these a lot. And then put this whole entire thing in another VStack. Yep. And then in between these items, we have this line, which we're going to use in a couple places, if I could find it. So we have box, centered, divider. So this divider, we could do either horizontal, or, which is normal, or vertical. So there's the orientation of horizontal and vertical, and that's important because we have this vertical one right here. So we could use it, the same divider up at top, and then the same divider here. So we're going to import divider from divider. Only thing I don't like about GlueStack is like it blows up our imports because we have to import from each individual folder. Not the end of the world, but don't love the look of it. There we go. Okay, so px. No, that's very small. Okay, so next thing we want to do is, I think there's so much spacing above because of this card. But again, I don't want to get too much in the details just yet. We got the main stuff. And then we also want to put this divider below the avatar. So we have this HStack. What we want to do is put this avatar in a VStack, I think. So it won't change the look of it just yet, but it'll allow us to put divider. I don't know if we need to define a height. Let's see. Oof. Okay, maybe we do have to define a height. Better. This is the beauty of CSS. Also, this is the beauty of hot reloading in React Native, because this would be a pain in the ass reloading every single time. Okay, so we got HStack, VStack. In this VStack, we want to align items to the center. There we go. And then I think below this avatar, we want to put some spacing. Maybe P padding instead of margin. Oh, okay. Sorry. We don't want to put it on the avatar. We want to put it on. Let's put space MD here. There we go. Okay. Now that's looking nice, actually. It's looking real nice. So we have tester, what's new, and let's add like the little add to thread. So this is going to be a button. So since we're posting, we want to put like another, let's see, another avatar instance, but we want to put it below the card, I believe. And then in here, we want to put the avatar. So this card has to be in another VStack. Probably going to want to come back and clean all this up because it's already starting to become a mess. So this card, HStack, and then we'll put the whole thing in a VStack. So it's vertically aligned. Okay. Much better. And then we want to put, what do we want to put? Add thread. Text. Well, actually, this is going to be a button. The whole thing's going to be, it's going to be a button. Button text. I think the variant is link. Oh my goodness. Rounded full does not matter. And then on press. And to thread. And then we want this, we don't want it justify between. And then we want the avatar smaller. So you have size MD, we have size maybe XS. Yeah. So what we're going to do next is actually do something on this click. So what we're going to do is kind of just turn this part into, actually, we'll wait for another video. First thing I want to do is actually put this input into a new post. So right now on load, it's just passing in hello world. So no matter what we type in here, it's always going to post hello world. What we want to do is const text, set text, and then React dot use state. Let's import React text. You could either do text : text since it's That's what it is, the state text and then the key text. But since they're one and the same, we could just do text, or they're named the same. That's why. And then on our input on change text, alright, so we have all the functionality. Like cancel, it goes back. It's new thread, that's off center. We have a text input that updates the text state and then passes it into the on press event. And then we'll come back to this on add to thread later. And then on post, it still calls on press. So let's reload and try this. And create a simple, this is a simple text post. Oh, and then also on post, on press, oh, we already did, right? Or did that go back? Okay. So if it's successful, it goes back. And how do we know if it worked or not? Well, we can check Supabase, or we can just populate it as a basic field in the homepage. So let's do that real quick. So we have this. Maybe we want to put another divider in here. Import it. There we go. So this is coming to the home page. And then below this divider, we want to add a VStack. And then in here, we want to be able to put a post. So we're going to create a separate component view for this eventually. But for right now, let's just pull it in. And then we're going to put it into a flat list. So a flat list, a scroll view list, if you map through something, it's all kind of the same thing, but a flat list is optimized. So it's just the fastest way to do it. And it could cache some of the information. So if you want to list through any certain type of items, it takes in an array of items, and then this red item we can pass in just text, or we could pass in like a whole component. So this is what we're going to use. We're going to import it from React Native. Let's put it up here. So we're not importing multiple rows for no reason. Okay, right now it's an empty array. So what we want to do is const get threads. That works. It's from the Supabase post schema. Let's double check that. So it's post. And let's just select all. And let's console log data and error for now. And then we're going to call this onload. So we're going to do react.useEffect and then just onload one time. There's no dependencies. That's why this array is empty. And we can see we got two posts. Yes. And null is the error, so that's good. And then what we want to do is set threads. It's just going to be an array. And then if no error, set threads. Data, yes. Select query error, cannot infer type. No. Let's just remove the type for now. Okay, so this should set this array of objects, and in here we got created ID, parent ID, and then text. So the only thing we really have is the text itself, but we also have user ID, so we could do select star. So since we have that association in the schema, we have on a post, we don't just have user ID. It's a relation to the user table. So we can include that on the query. And then if we had a parent ID, we could do the same thing with post. So aka a thread. And then, so the way we do that is star is calling get return everything in this table. So if you wanted just text, actually let's remove this for now so we can see this. If we wanted just text and then reload, we could just return just text. But right now we want everything, plus we want to join the user from this post. And we could see now we have this user dot avatar dot id dot username. And so with that, we could do threads, and we're going to turn this part into a component eventually, but item.text, and then we could pull in avatar. Actually, let's put this whole thing in an HStack. Bring in avatar, and then text. So here we call item, because that's what we defined it as, item.user.username, and then item.text. There we go. Hello world. This is a simple text post. And then we can even create another one. What's up? And then we could do, actually we could do on path name. Const path name, use path name. So this means if path name equals, I don't think it's home, but actually let's double check. Const path name, that's just slash. So we can call this on path name change, so that's on load, but then also another post. This path name changed, so it went from slash to slash post, and then it'll go back to slash, and then it'll call post again. And then one more thing we could do, order by created at, and this is another reason why I have created at, sending, I always mix these up, sending false or true, another post. Okay, so this will also return it as most recent. And then you could also do, I mean, we're going to add probably other information here, but we can do like text dot username. I could do bold, and then in here you could even do another HStack. I don't think AI knows what I'm trying to do just yet. And then we could do close. Create it up. We could do MX5. And do date, new date, to local time string. And you could clean this up however you want. So this is just plain JavaScript. So here we go. Text access. Item center. So you can see you can keep modifying this, making this a little bit nicer. This avatar is pretty small, so here we just want to do SM. Actually, that's really small. So class name, add that back. Okay, this is already getting long, so there we go. 83. So you can see how this is starting to come together. We have the main section. We have a list of posts. On click. Oh, interesting. On click. We're showing all the posts. So eventually we're going to want to put like reactions. So you could repost, you could like. And then next we're going to probably be able to access the photo library. So right now all we're going to do is text, but we want to be able to click some of these and add photos or use the camera or use Giphy, whatever it may be. And so, yeah, in the next couple of videos, we're just going to keep on adding to this functionality. So hopefully you join me. And then also we're going to turn this into a hook because we don't want this being called every single time. And we're going to use tanstack query to cache some of this information so we can use it again in the future. So hope you join me for the next video in the series, and peace.